Hello and welcome to my first ever video on my channel, and today I'm going to talk about diagnostic radiography, so how I got into radiography, what universities I applied to, and where I chose to go and where I am currently. The reason why I started this channel is to promote radiography further because a lot of people still don't know what radiographers do, and this channel is also for people who want to apply for radiography and want more information about it. So, for example, how the course is, how intense it is, how it's laid out in certain universities, and any other questions, for example, as interviews and how interviews went, what type of questions they could ask, and how to apply for jobs. I'm not going to cover everything in this video. This is a very basic video, but the reason why I started this channel is to create multiple videos on different parts of the process of applying to get into radiography and then further on how to apply for jobs. So if you want a specific video on a certain topic, then let me know in the comments and I'll prioritize that topic and make a video on that. So I'm just going to start by introducing myself. I'm currently qualified and I've done all my exams and passed them. I haven't applied for my HCPC registration yet, which I will be doing soon, and I'm just currently applying for jobs. So, how I got into radiography. So, um, before I even thought of doing radiography, I did my A levels, which was biology, chemistry, and psychology. I initially wanted to do medicine, which is the reason why I chose those A-level subjects. However, I wasn't able to achieve the predicted grades I wanted in first year because I found chemistry and biology very tough, and I didn't think I'd be able to achieve an A in either. So I decided that, okay, we're not doing medicine right now. But I also contemplated if I even wanted to do medicine because medicine is a 5 years course and it's very intense. So I was like, I do want to go to healthcare, but I don't know if medicine's the way because if you do UCAT, achieve A, then further on you've got 5 years and it's a lot of learning. So I was like, don't know if I want to do medicine anymore, but I do want to still get into the healthcare profession. So I spoke to my mum about this. I was a bit worried. I was like, should I take a gap year, wait for a bit, and then decide what I want to do, or do I just carry on and research it? So I spoke to my mum. My mum's a nurse, and because my mum's a nurse, she inspired me to go into the healthcare profession. So I was speaking to her. I didn't want to do nursing because for me personally, that was really tough and very, very intense, especially the work that nurses do. And I was like, I can't do the same amount that my mum does, then say I can't do the job with the same amount of passion. So I was thinking about what other careers there are. I told my mum, she's like, there's a lot of different careers, not just doctors and nurses. You can go into optometry, you can go into pharmacy, you can go into physiotherapy, you can go into midwifery, you can go into radiography. So I researched every single career there was, and there's also speech and language therapy as well, which a lot of people don't know, which I didn't know until I started researching. There are so many different careers, decided to research on each one, and then I finally decided to do radiography. Another reason why I decided to do radiography was because my grandparents had cancer. So my grandma had stomach cancer and my granddad had lung cancer. So a lot of imaging was used to obviously diagnose both of my grandparents and decide what to do with them. So um I was also with them throughout the process. So that also inspired me to go to radiography because it really truly showed me how important imaging is, regardless of what imaging is. X-ray, CT, MRI, ultrasound, they're all very, very important, especially because um, I obviously went through some patches of my life where I needed imaging through ultrasound, so did my sisters. So it really showed how important imaging is to diagnose a patient. So this is why I decided, yes, radiography is what I want to do. So I applied for radiography in my first year of college, and then I got some offers back. So where I applied at Liverpool University, Leeds University, Salford University. I applied at St George, London, and Bristol UE. So these are the universities that I applied, and the interviews that I got back from were Bristol, Salford, St George, and Leeds. So I got 4 out of 5 offers back. Um, before um, I start telling you guys about my interviews were mostly online because I applied in 2023, and I think that was where COVID was not there, but I think a lot of like universities prefer to do it online. However, my St. George interview was not online and I had to go all the way to London um, and do that one. So um, not Liverpool, sorry, Leeds and Salford and Bristol were all online, and I chose to go to Salford. However, um, the interviews themselves were quite varied. So, for example, for me, Bristol, the interview was only 15 minutes. However, my Leeds one was 30 minutes. So I thought I wouldn't get the offer back from Bristol because how short it was. However, I did pretty well and I managed to get an offer back. So if anyone's applying or anyone thinks that, oh my gosh, my interview just wasted 10, 15 minutes, I wouldn't worry too much as long as you answered the questions properly. For my Salford interview, that was in the middle, it was like 20 minutes. So it wasn't like the shortest, I don't know, wasn't the longest, but it was in the middle. My St. George interview was pretty long, I think, because it was an MMI, so multiple um, sections. So we had like multiple tables where you had to go, and we would rotate around. And I actually got an offer back from St. George. I did not prepare for that interview at all because I already had an offer from Salford, and I had an offer from Bristol. So I was there. I've got 2 offers back, and mostly universities all have the same requirements. So I was there like, I just need to put 2 on. It doesn't matter where, because I wanted to go Salford because I live in Manchester. So like, I'm gonna put Salford as my first anyway. So it doesn't matter if I do get the St George offer back or not. But I actually managed to get an interview back at St. George as well, which I was really surprised because I did not think that interview went well. And it was a very hard interview. I think that was like the hardest interview out of all of them. But I was really proud of myself for getting an interview back. I mean, to get an offer back without even preparing for the interview. So I can obviously make another a video about this, what type of questions I got asked and how my interview was in general. If you guys want me to make another video, just let me know in the comments. So how I decided which university to pick. So I chose the university which was closest to me, but when you're applying and choosing the university to pick from, there are many different factors to consider, and I did not consider these factors. I think I was quite like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't really mind. I just want to stay at home. At that point, I was like, I don't want to move out. It was really expensive to move out as well, especially if I went to like London or Bristol, which is like hours away from me. So I decided to stay. Um, however, I do recommend like researching about universities because on the Bristol interview, I remember I had no clue, but like the interviewers told me that for their placement sites, because they're so further away from the university, so if you do move out to university, you may have to move for your placement as well, which was quite like, okay, I don't know if I want to do that because it's a lot of effort for me. And I'm a person who doesn't like change. I'm a person who would stick to one place and I would do it, and then you can't make me move. So, for example, at Salford, we have one placement site that we go to, and that is your placement site for the whole of 3 years, and that's where you stay, and that's where if you want to move, you can do, but it's very rare that someone does move because you have to fill in a transfer form, and because there may not be spaces at different hospitals, you may not be able to move. So I stayed at that same hospital throughout my 3 years, and I did really enjoy it. And it was you become a part of that team, so you know all the radiographers there, you know how they are, you know what they're like. But if I had to go to Bristol and I had to move again for placement, whilst I've already moved for the university itself and then moving again for placement, it could have like burnt me out a lot more because I stayed at home whilst I was going to placement as well, and that helped. Obviously, if you really want to and you think you're absolutely up for it, then yes, obviously go for it. But just look at the different considerations because for me that would be really hard, and I don't think I would have been able to adjust, especially if you don't have any friends in first year. It's really hard to adjust and like make friends. Obviously, you do become friends as time goes on because my patients started becoming friends with everyone, but it just takes time, and you just need to be open. I think be open, be mindful, be proactive, just be on it as well at the same time. However, do research about the different universities as well and like how they teach, what type of setting they have. Because at Salford we had in first and second year we had like blocks of placement, so we would have like for us, we started university in first year, and then we had our 8 week block in January, and then we had another 8 week at the end. So we had 14 weeks in all 3 years. So like we had 14 weeks in the first of placement in the first year, then second year, and then third year. However, the first and second year we had like blocks. In third year, because we had a different um, academic lead, they changed it to 2 weeks of placement and 2 weeks of university. So, for example, I started 2 weeks of placement and then we went to 2 weeks of uni, then 2 weeks of placement and then 2 weeks of uni. It depends on like the person and how they learn. But for me personally, in third year, that was not okay for me because I wasn't able to revise anything, especially in third year when you've learned everything. Obviously, you're still learning. As a student, you're always learning. But when you've technically done all your theory and you just need to revise your dissertation and just get through it, it gets a bit hard when you're just constantly on placement and when you're off. And it can get really tough because um, you've got a lot going on. But if I was in third year and that same process happened and I was like adjusted to, I think I would enjoy it because you're just applying everything that you learn at that point straight on. So like the minute you learn like, okay, now I know my hand anatomy, I'm going on to basement and doing my hand x-rays, that's fine. But for me in third year, because I've never had it in that layout, in first and second year we had blocks, which worked perfectly. But in third year when they changed it, it got a bit overwhelming, but we got through it. So obviously, please research about your university and don't just go to the university that's closest to you. Obviously, if you want to do what I did, yes, go ahead, but just research, especially when you have placement, it's really difficult and it's so different compared to like other courses. Like obviously other courses are really difficult as well. But with placement, it's just harder to manage things because it's really difficult to have a work-life balance, and especially if you've never worked before, because some people hadn't worked. I hadn't worked in healthcare. Healthcare is completely different. I worked at stores, but working actually in the hospital is very different and a very different environment. Adjusting to that team, learning different things, going up to theatre, so different and so difficult as well. So take your time, process it, learn about the university, ask questions in the interview, and just take it easy as well. Because I remember um, on my Leeds one, I did not get an offer because I was really, really nervous, and I think that was my first interview. I think, yes, it was my first interview and it was really difficult. And I remember being super nervous and I told myself I'm not going to do the same thing for my other interviews because I really needed an offer. Because at least I did my interview, got rejected, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to get offers from other universities. Thankfully I did, but if I didn't, then I just messed up by one chance that I had. However, where I'm currently at, so just did all my exam. I haven't graduated now, but I have done everything. I'm going to be graduating in July, and I've been looking for jobs. However, the job market is pretty tight right now. There's no jobs at the moment currently, and when there is, they like a lot of hospitals do prefer to take their own students because they already know the system, they already know the equipment. It's easy to train them, less training time. You just leave them to it, and the team already knows the students. So a lot of hospitals do take their own students again. So it is quite tough finding a job, and especially because there's no jobs even in London, and London's a massive city. So there's no jobs there. There's nothing there. But I'm researching and I'm applying for jobs because I don't want to be doing the same mistakes that I did for university and apply randomly to a job where I've got no, where I can't use my skills, where there's no theatre or there is a lot of theatre. I want a mix of both. I want theatre, but I also want a lot of X-rays, and I want to expand on my skills that I've already learned. So I don't want to go to a place where there's no theatre because I feel like if I started my band five job and there's no theatre there, I would lose that skill. Equally so, I want to go to a place where there'll be a mixed bag of GP and trauma because I want to expand on my learning and I don't want to just go into a place where there's no trauma, no A&E patients. And so I have been researching for some good jobs and recently some jobs have came out, so I'll be applying for those. So uh, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below and I will reply to them. I will make a video on them if you want a video and anything more. So thank you for listening to me and watching my presentation. If you guys want to follow me on Insta and TikTok, you can do those. Those are my social media handles because I'll be posting on my account as well. I've just recently decided these handles, so I haven't got much on my Instagram one, but I do have a few TikToks on my videography one. However, I shall be being more consistent on my socials as well as trying to post a lot more on YouTube. So thank you so much and let me know if you want any more videos on a certain topic. Bye bye.